All right, so it dawned on me this weekend that I never made a dedicated video about this merch line that I have spent over a year putting effort into. You wouldn't know this existed if you didn't watch my last video and if you didn't watch all the way till the ending of the video. So if you didn't even know about this, I totally understand. I kind of forgot to tell you. Essentially, I've spent the past year working with some of my favorite artists on the planet and commissioning them to do illustrations commemorating my specific videos I've done, right? So some of the big past videos like the Domino's Miku saga, but also future videos or new videos like this one right here, the Tobin Jacobs documentary. First, I just want to talk about the design of this. So this was by an illustrator named Otira Art, and from the beginning, the goal was to make this as like unignorably hyper specific to the Domino's Miku saga as possible. So we've got like the actual old iPhone, the old like squared off edges, like iPhone 4 era style phone that she's popping out of, because that's what the Miku app ran on. This outfit, this character design is based on the character design that was in the Domino's Miku app. My favorite detail of this whole, I mean, there's so many little things that this illustrator did that are incredible. Like Chef Miku here, this Miku peeking out of the phone, the leaks and stuff. But my favorite thing, hands down, about this whole thing, probably because I came up with it, was if you know anything about Miku, you know she's got that 01 tattoo on her arm. It's like an iconic part of the Miku character design. Ours has a 01, but represented in dominoes. So we've got a 0 on one side of the domino and a 1 on the other side of the domino. I thought that was cute. There's also, like, up in this corner, just a little bit of some greeble, some stuff about the video. And then those of you with barcode scanners, I did take the time to make that a real barcode, so give that a shot. Then over here is the Tobin one. This is illustrated by this artist named Kale J. Labby. He's an Australian illustrator who I've been following for a long time. I've actually got, like, before we ever worked together and before we met in Japan, I had this sticker he did on my laptop just since like last year. So it's so sick to have gotten to work with this guy. For all these posters, I spent like a kind of a crazy long time trying to figure out what it should be. And it came to me in like a vision, the idea of like a literal Tobin surrounded by Sayakas, like removing the cardboard cutout aspect from it and being like, what if all the Sayakas were real? What would that look like? And I knew exactly that Kale was the person for the job. And when he said yes, I was just incredibly pumped. Yeah. So t-shirt and poster versions of both of those are available now at nickmer.ch. I'm gonna go grab the shirts also real quick. So another thing I'm insanely excited about with this whole new merch provider is this is the first time in my life, I mean, it's a relatively new technique too, but this is the first time I've ever had access to merch from a provider who has the capability to do dtfx printing. So if you don't know much about merch, which I didn't before starting this whole process a year ago, most like apparel merch, most like t-shirts that you've ever seen as merch are printed like by putting ink into the fabric directly. And the problem with that is that it results in really kind of like dim, washed out, unsaturated colors that are not particularly sharp, they're kind of blurry. So that old method of printing was called DTG, direct-to-garment printing. This new method that is still relatively, like, there's only a few manufacturers who are even capable of this, to my understanding. There's a new method called dtfx, which essentially uses this like stretchable film that, long story short, allows for like much sharper, brighter, higher saturation, but still like stretchable like images on the shirt. So you end up with these incredibly like crisp, good looking, bright, colorful, not washed out things. I've never ever had merch that when I got it, I was like slightly bummed out by how washed out it looked. And this is the first time I've ever like gotten my own merch and been like, they did it, like they pulled it off. I probably should have run like a lint roller because I've been wearing my own merch like a psycho. But bro, scope this. Look at how damn good that looks. It's beautiful. I'm just like thrilled with how all of it looks. My vision for this, I just wanted to have these posters in my house. I just loved the idea of having like pseudo-filmic, like high-effort, serious-looking posters and shirts that represented the stuff I'm proudest of that I've made. I really made these to put them in my own house, and then you guys having access to them is kind of like a side bonus. So the idea is every time I release a big video, like a big high-effort documentary style thing, like the Tobin documentary I released a couple weeks ago, alongside it there will be 2 drops. There'll be a new poster based on that video, and a poster based on like an old video that I think the most dedicated fans of mine would like know and love. So stuff like the Miku thing. I'm not giving any other examples because I don't want to give them away. I want them to be surprising when they hit. There's one coming out very shortly. Maybe I'll tease it here. Do I want to tease it? Okay. There's a Microsoft Bimbos one coming out in the next week or so that I'm like euphorically happy with. It is not what you're expecting. That's all I'm going to say about it. But anyways, these are available and out in the world now, and so there's been this trickle of like people tagging me on Instagram of them getting the merch, or like there's a TikTok that like kind of went semi-viral of the Domino's Miku poster that's behind me, and that's been really cool to see. The thing that surprised me though, that I had no clue about, is so I'm working with this partner called Fourth Wall. They work with like a lot of my favorite YouTube creators like MKBHD and others, and there's a feature on their website that I didn't know about, where in the like checkout flow, when you buy something from it, you can write this message that goes to the creator. So when I opened up the app for the first time, there was this like list of like 100 messages, and a lot of people wrote these really great little messages explaining what my videos mean to them, or what their favorite one is, or that they're buying this as a gift for somebody who loves them. And also built into this app is the ability to do these video responses to the messages. And there's a lot of messages in that queue, but I thought it would be a nice thing to do anyway. This is like a merch drop that has been living in my head for the past year, and now that it's out in the world, like the people who've bought it, it's incredibly meaningful to me. So I decided what I would do is I would do video responses just for the orders where somebody wrote a message in there. They're not super long and they're not super involved, but I do my best to like respond specifically to whatever they wrote in there. And I've just been like I've been cranking through them, and I just finished like the last batch of them today. I'm all caught up. It took me a bunch of hours spread out over a bunch of days to get through all of them. There was one like marathon session where I kind of lost my voice by the end of it. So with that in mind, I don't think it's sustainable for me to keep doing video responses for everyone who writes something in the message thing. However, I also recognize that people didn't even know that was like a possibility. So I think like, whatever, it's June, 27th? I think through the end of June, I'm gonna keep doing this. If you write anything in that message field after placing a merch order, I'll do like a video response thing to it, and then I'll probably cut it off there. But that's been really like a fun bonus that I had no clue was built into this merch platform. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening to me talk about posters and t-shirts for 8.5 minutes straight. I wasn't planning on talking that long, but I'm really passionate about this project. I hope that comes through in the product itself. I think it does. To be honest, I've heard from a few people who bought this merch who haven't like seen any of my videos and just like the designs, and I think that's a pretty vindicating thing when you're working on something for this long. But yeah, let me know what you think of these. Let me know if you're planning on picking any of them up, or if you have any specific videos you'd like to see represented in future merch drops. That's also something I'm quite curious about. I have a lot kind of saved up in various degrees, like various stages of preparedness that you'll see shortly. But yeah, also I think if I do this right, there should be a shopping button on this video that you can click on. I think it's in the lower left corner of the screen on mobile. You'll know what I'm talking about. It's popping up. It's there if you mouse over it or tap your screen or whatever. So you can buy it directly through that if you don't want to type in the very funny vanity URL that I'm paying $20 a year for right now. But yeah, thanks for watching.